Welcome to part two of this episode on science communication. We want to talk more about the perspectives, not as practitioners, but as entrepreneurs and who are actively shaping the science and communication landscape on our continent. We are talking about building structures and pushing this particular industry forward. So a quick reminder, I am joined by Eloïne Barry from the African Media Agency, AMA, based in Abidjan, Cote d'Ivoire, as well as Emmanuel Dabo. I feel that I have gone to West Africa, but I have decided to stay in Cote d'Ivoire for some reason. But Eloïne is saving me because her background is actually Senegalese, Guinea-Bissau. So I'm seeing a little bit of all of West Africa. I want to connect the dots and go back to our part one series where we were really looking at the expansiveness of science communication, its importance, our ethics, our guiding principles of what makes us really, really good communicators or science communication or science communicators. Both of you didn't just choose science communication as a career. You even went ahead and built companies. So you became the real entrepreneurs that you are. What was the specific gap or unmet need you saw in the market that made you decide, I really need to set up a company? What was it, Emmanuel, that drove you to set up ASCA?
Thank you for this question. Yes, ASCA is fully dedicated to science communication at 100%. And one reason, my personal experience, I was an intern in the scientific research, Sciences de Recherche Scientifique de Côte d'Ivoire, with the program Afrique One. After being an intern, I was a fully employee, after a consultant, and now yes, the managing director and founder of ASCA. So it's my personal professional total product of research institution and support of some founder like Delta Africa and also Science for Africa Foundation. And working in this environment, I was able to understand the needs to create some linkage relationship between science and society. I was able to see what beautiful, tremendous work African scientists are doing. And most of the time, sometimes I feel frustrated to see our policy may look for a solution in other part of the world, leaving behind what we have
I
here.
know, right?
And I say, oh, we have to do something. And when you see all the community, and when the media landscape environment is more than 100% focus on entertainment, political issue, you say, oh, we have to work to bring something new, something which is more objective, something we can improve, yes, well-being and support with evidence the decision-making process.
No, that's vital and critical. Your point about our policymakers, and it's not just policymakers. And Eloïne, I'd love to hear your point. You who is in media and PR, Emmanuel, we have seen countless of articles published from New York Times into our own very local newspapers, and I think that's a huge gap. That's a big problem. It's not that we don't have the content; it needs to be looked out for. Eloïne, do you want to defend the media fraternity?
Always. I will always stand up. No, it's a difficult, it's definitely a difficult industry to be in, specifically at the moment where the business model might be, aging, and it's difficult to run the media. It costs money. You need to make money to produce good content. You need to train your journalists if you want good content. Our journalists across the continent outside of South Africa cover agriculture in the morning, politics for lunchtime, and then fintech in the afternoon. So a complex story, it's very difficult for them to understand. So the content is not great. Also, there's scarcity of Pan-African media. So we go indeed to the international media because they sort of fill that gap. And they do have one page dedicated to Africa, maybe, a day or every 2 days. As a global newspaper, they can't have 20 pages for our continent. It's difficult to get our stories up, on the top of where we would want it to be. But I think to me, because it wasn't specifically a science communication agency that I was building, it was an agency, and for me, it was that call of being a diaspora child, wanting to come back to the continent, wanting to change some of the perspective, wanting to bring a little sovereignty, wanting to, create jobs in an environment that is fast-paced and requires also lots of attention. Me to start an agency. It's been fantastic. I don't know if I would recommend that to everybody, though.
Why?
It's not the easiest route to take. It's not easy, but what is easy? I think it's the life of an entrepreneur. Like we could spend 10 episodes talking about this, but yes, I was very much guided by wanting to shape the story in a better light and more realistically than what we got fed growing up in Europe or in the US.
Congratulations to both of you. I think your milestones, your successes have inspired some of us. I can tell you for a fact, Silent Global, we are an infant in this room. So you are the big boys and girls, and for us, we look up to you. We were inspired by the fact, like Emmanuel was saying, profile building, profile development, making sure our own African scientists, our own African leaders are being seen out there. On an earlier episode, and I keep always referencing Professor Sam Kinyanjui, who was talking about human capital on the continent. We have so many young people, and they need to be equally inspired by the fact that the talent, is on this continent. I think earlier in part one, Emmanuel, we were talking about top scientists outside this continent, but actually we've had some amazing discoveries. Eloïne, we have, even during COVID, if we look at the discovery of the Omicron, it happened right here. If we look at examples of the very first, I think it was brain surgery happening in South Africa. I mean, they're major advances, but they don't get the airtime. So Styling Global for us, it was just looking at the profiles that we wanted to be able to elevate, and then also making knowledge accessible. And Emmanuel was talking about community engagement. Eloïne, whilst I still have you on screen at the moment, I wanna move you very quickly. You were talking about media and how media now is finding things challenging. The newspapers are going increasingly out of business. The social media is taking center stage. But another bigger monster that's taking center stage is AI, and how we communicate.
Yes.
So I don't know if both of you, are you scared about AI? Are you worried about the disinformation we've had about how much garbage it's giving without giving references? What's your take on AI and communications?
I'm not scared of AI. To the contrary, I think AI will make us speed up some of our work, speed up some of our processes,
Right.
Helping us maybe check some sources. So we do use AI every single day. Finding a report, understanding a report, summarizing one. AI is a tool. And AI doesn't bring this information. What I'm scared about is disinformation on already created platforms, because what AI does is just scrolling the web and coming back with these sources. What I'm worried about is the sources.
Yeah.
That's my issue. So disinformation, I mean, it's mind-blowing what it does. It's something that we fight with every day. It's mini crises because it's always there, or it's huge crises for us. So what we've been doing more and more of is coming back to media, coming back to training, and I know Emmanuel is doing that too, is training journalists. But also not just journalists, now we're expanding it to content creators, because everybody and their grandmother create content.
That's true.
Content. And check what you're creating. And what's so interesting, and I have no knowledge in psychology, but it's how the human brain is wired to go for the scandal and the negative story, and this is what kind of trends. So that's what worries me more than AI. AI is just a tool that we need to use, understanding how it works. Disinformation is the real issue. We need real journalists, we need real websites, we need real platforms, we need real content creators that don't necessarily use AI to produce something.
Yeah.
I think this is where the real battle will be for us. But we also play a huge role as agencies, and it's funny we have that conversation now because my team is currently on a training, on an AI training. And what we are now developing through our press release distribution is the way of enhance. So, sorry to come, just to give a little context, is we do press release distribution and we feed some websites from our feed of press release. But we're now working on making these websites seen by AI.
Mhm.
So what it does is that because these websites get visited by the AI tools, then our clients' content is more likely to come up at the top.
Wow.
So it will help people or scientists wanting their story to be seen by ensuring that we use the right technology, that we write the content properly, that we include FAQs, that we work on LLM. I'm not an expert, but like my team is
Language
becoming
learning models. Yeah.
exactly
The LLMs.
to
Yeah.
LLMs to really enhance not the search engine optimization, even though it's still there, but the GEO and get much better results. And I think if we as communicators get well versed on how AI operates and how we can influence some of the content we put out there for it to come on top of this information, then that's the real battle, and that's how we can really make huge progress and stop seeing what we see. Another thing I wanted to mention, and I just want to come back to what Emmanuel was talking about earlier on the environment in which we operate, where there is that mysticity and we very much I forgot the word, but it
In
will come back.
French?
Even in French,
Yeah,
it will
fair
come back
enough.
to me. But basically, there's some knowledge that has been fully lost. And I like to reference that often. A few years ago, the New York Times Magazine, so the weekend supplement, ran a 10-page article on vaccine on how the humanity doubled their lifespan. Okay, so they looked at what happened in terms of hygiene, and then there was a whole section on vaccination. What was referenced there is that vaccination started in Asia and in Africa, and that it got promoted to the Western world by enslaved people who brought vaccination
Wow.
to America and to the Americas. So this to me, because it's such an ancestral technology, this to me is a piece of information that got lost
The
somewhere.
traditional knowledge.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And it's how some of the traditional way of curing is now used within Western medicine. So I think, and it's all coming back to access to information. It's, a bit of our role is also to say, well, in the whole disinformation that we see now, did you know this? And it's to promote these stories.
No, that's a fantastic example,
Mhm.
Eloïne. And
Yeah.
I was going to say it's very interesting, the example you've given about the traditional knowledge and also how AI is going to speed us up. I wonder, what's your take about job security? You've talked about your team being taught to use AI. Do you worry that maybe your teams run out of job opportunities?
I think agencies that will have to cut jobs are agencies that don't know how to embrace AI,
Oh,
because it is
Emmanuel,
happening. So I think,
did we hear?
and yeah, I just think, we were having that conversation this morning, you don't need to run reports. You don't need to, you can automate all of these tasks. But then what I need
Yeah.
you to do is for strategic thinking, is to go have lunch with your clients, is to sit down with journalists, is to think creatively on how to tell a story. This is something that machines can't really do. This is the soft skills that we bring. This is why we communicate. We're not technicians. I don't need my team to be an expert at monitoring or pushing out a
Yeah,
press release,
I can do
but I
that.
need my team, exactly, like a machine can do that. But I need my team to, sit down with a group of journalists and say, what is your issue? How do we solve that?
No, no, great points. And Emmanuel, I'm interested to hear your take as well on AI.
Yes, I totally agree with what Eloïne say. Thank you. And yes, I was reading a book recently about the use and the development of AI, and one of the view of the author is the comeback of social science, humanities science. around the table. And in my thinking, in my thought, I think before using AI and not using AI and then think. If you consider AI as a tool, before using the tool, you know what you want to do with the tool, and you think if the tool is appropriate to do what you want to do. And that's why we need before to think, to come to let's come back on the table humanity, philosophy, social science, the traditional knowledge, and as Eloïne mentioned, and also check the source of the AI technology, and as a communicator, as content creator, think about how we can feed up these different sources. And in our job, we have also to create content for institutional websites of some research program and institution. And personally, I don't like the promotion of person, the kind of institutional website where you only see the head of the director made this. No, bring the knowledge, what the institution is doing, what are the findings of the research. Yeah. And it's this kind of content we can improve this different source AI or even human are using in the everyday job. At the moment, we don't need to see the beautiful face of the director. We don't need this. But concretely, what is the information that we can help? Yeah, the content we can help people to take decision to improve
And
their
Emmanuel,
life.
on the point of content and not persons, maybe let me ask you this question: how do we solve for the issue of accessibility and information, especially where news is increasingly behind paywall? I know AI, like Eloïne has said, you ask it a question, you prompt it. And by the way, I love your point about you think faster than you use a tool. And I think this is the danger with the younger generation, the Gen Zs, Gen Alphas especially, as they come up. If they're using more technology and they're using more AI, then their thinking is taking a back seat. And I think we need to drive the thinking first and then the use of the AI. So I guess my question for you is, Eloïne has said that AI makes us do things faster. You give it a prompt, it goes off, it does its research, it comes back. But what we do know is sometimes some of this content is behind paywall, especially in this industry of science, where there are publishers where you have to pay to access information. So science communicators, how do you address this challenge?
It's a big challenge, even for scientists, because they can work doing a research, and at the end they publish in in the journal where even themselves have to pay before getting access to the
Who's designing the system?
article. This is really crazy. And I cannot say it's the effective solution, but it's something we are thinking and try to implement to see if it can happen, if good or not. And Eloïne talked about the press release, and we really push scientists research program before the release of a publication, a science publication. Please let the communication manager be aware of the content of your study so that we can prepare a press release and put it in the fridge. And after share with media, we can put it on the embargo and after share with media so that even if people cannot read the fully article, they can have a bit overview of what of the content of the publication. So it's one idea. In terms of also media, we try to pitch some story to some media, and also train young journalists. We launched 1 month ago a summer school focused on science journalism. And in the content of this program, we have technique for science journalists, but also how to work with scientists, how to get access to scientific review, how to read them and find the information with the different limitation, the methodology process, etc., so that also they can right after a story about something. It's not, as I say, it's not something much clear, but it's some these are some method we are testing to see what is effective, and step by step we draw the different lesson and try to improve. And one we are thinking about some media focus on science, but as I say, it's very easy to launch a website.
Yeah.
This is not the problem. The problem is sustainability. The problem is model business. And yeah, in terms of accessibility, sorry for what I'm gonna say. Sorry
Controversial.
for that.
Controversial.
But African people must know that not everything can be free. You have to pay sometime.
And you have to pay for good service
I
sometimes.
will stop here.
I don't think that was controversial, and I don't think you should have apologized for that. I think it's very important that people know that for good service, for good expertise, you need to pay for the service. You know, it happens the world over. So it should not be any different when it arrives on the shores of the continent. Suddenly it changes and it becomes a free service. The one thing I had a follow-on question on paywalls. When you said you were training journalists, I would highly encourage, I don't know if Eloïne's AMA agency does this, but also the training of policymakers to access the information. I suddenly had a little light bulb moment, Emmanuel, when you were talking, and I imagined that, by the way, even those papers behind paywalls, it's fine for them to be behind paywalls because they're very technical. But what might be important is that journalists form relationship with science, write articles together. I think that's a good trending topic that should be one that journalists should also onboard. But I want to come back to you and ask now, as Asker, as Ama, what is that 1, 2, or 3 things that have been very successful and very rewarding that has told you that you are on the right path and you are doing the thing that you should be doing? I'm sure Eloïne alluded to it at the beginning by saying, this is not one of those things I would recommend for people to go and set up agencies left, right, and center, because I'm sure the challenges have been broad. But Emmanuel, what has been, something that really is rewarding for you?
Yeah, thank you. And sorry, I will come back on the previous question to talk a bit about the public health bulletin. It's a free communication tool. The access is free, the subscription is free, and it's a tool to share information, public health information. So we were able to develop this with the support of some founder, and because of the current situation, the support of this founder is no longer financial, but the team is struggling to keep going, to maintain the project. And I want to congratulate the team and invite also all the listeners of Connecting the Dot to check a bit this project and see how we can make it more broader. Thank you. And yeah, come back to the question. I talk about smiling.
What example have you done? What activity did you do that ended up in many smiles across the continent?
Allow me to talk about this project about the wound management model in the center of Côte d'Ivoire. Some infrastructure, yeah, it's needed for development, but some infrastructure also disturb the ecosystem on some community or some landscape. And in Dabo, for instance, we have a dam. The dam bring energy, power, but in the same times, the dam cause illness, yeah, illness linked to water, disturb also the socioeconomic activity of people. And in this region, there is a big burden of skin diseases like Brûlé ulcer. We have also schistomiasis, something like that. And the project African and the CSRS are implementing try to by pushing people to go to hospital, detect early the wound so that they can treat this effectively. And the project was so successful. And in terms of communication, we pushed to present the result of this project at the recent WHO meeting on skin disease. And this year, WHO adopted a resolution to consider skin disease as a global health priority. And this is a big success. And we are happy of this achievement. And recently at Dabo, we organized a workshop where we invite community and partner to say, hey, WHO has now recognized the problem. What we have to do, because the funding are over, how now as community, as a first beneficiary of the project, we can continue. And I see chief head of village see, oh, we can develop a sort of bank, local bank, where we, saving, how can I say, a saving mechanism where we can use money to support people who are suffering of this kind of disease. We can bring, for instance, foods to the hospital, something like that. It's a recent achievement, and I'm very happy of that. And I want to congratulate all the research team who work on that, Professor Bonfo, Dr. Bugnon, Dr. Didier Kofi, and all the team. And Science for Africa Foundation came to see what is happening, and other partners from the camp also to see what is happening. And the student, the journalist we are training, wrote a interesting story on what they call health migration.
Oh my God.
People who are sick will leave a urban place to go to a rural place to be treated. It's something we cannot imagine by the past, because when people are sick, they go to the urban place, Abidjan or Nairobi, and if the problem is not solved, go to Western country, USA, France, something.
Yeah. No, félicitations, Emmanuel and Aska. That's a really great achievement. What about you, Eloïne and Amma?
Yeah, that's really brilliant, Emmanuel. Really, it's super inspiring, and what a good use of your work. That's amazing. For us, so if I may just come back quickly on the paywall, and I promise I'll keep it very short. But I think there is an opportunity for journalists to actually position themselves and to share some of the content that they write. I think that would be a good use of social media. Some journalists do it more than others. And also for the media to, duplicate that content and share some findings of the articles on social to make it more accessible to people. I think that could be great. For us, it's been working with tremendous people, smart people that has been, nourishing us. And I want to mention, Morgan Danielou, who's a fantastic science communicator, who got one of our Burkinabe scientists on the scene of TED. I mean, just following this track and getting inspired as what the possibilities can be is absolutely wonderful. Now, I would be even more proud if we could lead us, and that's kind of a call to action for all of us in science communications. Why do we need a Nobel Prize? Why don't we create our own prize?
Our own prize, yeah.
Why don't we just, create that movement that we don't really need the outside world? I think we have everything here in-house. That would be probably one of my biggest achievements. If, as you, Juliette, me, scientists that we know, your community, Juliette, build a bigger platform where we don't need to say he went on he gave a TED talk, but it could be he gave a talk here and he received an African award. I think that would be probably the end of my road.
I love that. I'm trying to remember, what popular person do you both know? Give me a name. Don't give me the usual suspect. Please don't give me Wangari Maathai. We've had her name so many times.
I was going to say.
No, give me another name. I mean, I was trying to think about this prize. Maybe an Ubuntu prize. I don't know, something. The Savannah prize.
Yes,
something.
exactly.
No, I love that, Eloïne.
Yeah.
I really love that. What about you? What's been, a really fantastic or significant moment in your setting up of AMA that's really made you look back and confirm that, indeed you are pushing this particular industry forward?
It's to see some of my staff members being poached by the biggest companies,
look at you.
biggest scientific companies.
Wow.
As painful as it was when that happened, because it's sort of losing a family member, was the moment where I was like, this is exactly why I do this.
I think it would have taken you a long time to come to that acceptance and realization, and that's very big of you, for you to acknowledge that, okay, in hindsight, I'm losing a good expertise.
Someone who started didn't even know what a press release was. To getting poached for one of the biggest comms role, leading West Central Africa. I think this is tremendous.
No, I mean, that's wonderful. And well done also too. It speaks loudly to the skill set you bring on the continent, your leadership as well. And now I'm also looking at the time, and we have come to the end, unfortunately, of this particular recording. So maybe giving you both the opportunity, parting shots, the things we tell our own scientists or when we train them, always have a call to action. What is it for you?
Thank you, Juliet, for this nice initiative connecting the dots.
Thank you.
By the past, I've never seen you behind the camera. You were coordinating PR, organizing events.
I know.
Prepare presentations for scientists.
I always love behind the scene. I've been forced to come out in public.
So congratulations, you have all my support in this new initiative. And to Eloïne, also I want to congratulate Eloïne. She set up AMA, I think 12 years ago. I was a student, looking what is happening there, what they are doing. And Eloïne said that the journey of the entrepreneur is not easy. And I know she faced by the past some challenge, maybe make some mistake. And as young, I learned from your mistake, Eloïne, and also your success. And, thank you for what you are doing, and congratulations also. And yes, my final word. In Africa, we can develop local solution in partnership, because we are in a global world, and people, yes, are invited to consider science. Scientists, you are invited to consider communication manager, because you are not activists, you are not communicators, professional, you are scientists. So be humble, open to work with science communicators, and also community when we are facing to some trouble, to some issue. You can pray, you can call God, but you can also read document, you can also see what kind of knowledge exists on the issue. And this is also valuable for journalists, for media, and for policy, for policymaker. And we are here to make the collaboration great and successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Eloïne. Less than a minute.
Thank you so much. Yes, I just want to say big thanks to you, Juliette, for creating this platform. Emmanuel, for being so laser focused. Well done. And I just want to say that to scientists, to any communities out there, we got your back. We are here to support. I think the essence of our work is to support the work that you do. So please reach out. And Juliette, really well done. Thank you so much.
No, thank you both, Emmanuel and Eloïne. It's been fantastic having you both on this episode of Connecting the Dots podcast. This brings us to the end of yet another exciting podcast. I hope you by now know more about science communication. Always remember to stay curious, keep asking the question why, and be bold. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode.